It's the Wake on Rise News. It's time for the press preview. First look at the front pages as they arrive. Let's start with this day. In letter to Bagudu, Buhari directs return to status quo ante in APC. Mai Buni says, I hold no grudge against anyone, declares. The president says Buni should be allowed to conclude convention plans. Power outage, feels scarcity, president apologizes to Nigerians. Chinua Achebe's son, Chile, wins U.S. Bard Award in medicine and science. The PDP NEC sets up 37-man committee over presidential ticket.
Very interesting story on Chinua Achebe's son. All right, the nation now, Buhari to APC governors. Buni remains party chair. And then just below the pictures there on the front page, senators, reps pledge support for Tinubu. Just above the masthead, PDP NEC fails to okay zoning. And then Yoruba Nation agitators filed suits to stop Ekiti or shoot polls. One wonders why. Then Malami, we are seeking options on the Electoral Act. That's for the nation. Let's go to the next paper.
And the Punch newspaper's headline here on the front page, El-Rufai, other APC governors lose out. Buni meets Buhari. Returns today. Some riders to their story. APC chair parlays president in UK. Returns from Dubai trip. Cancels NEC meeting. Party may die if crisis continues. Buhari warns. Directs DSS police to provide cover. The leading photo here. Most port scanners are obsolete, says the customs CG. And above the nameplate of the Punch this morning, blackout. Federal government blames gas shortage, vandalism, and OK's 40 billion naira for discos. Meanwhile, Electoral Act. Federal government exploring court talks on amendment, says the Attorney General of the Federation.
And the Tribune is leading with the APC crisis. Buhari backs Buni, warns governors NEC meeting cancelled. Buni returns after meeting with Buhari in London. Soludo to be inaugurated as Anambra governor today. That's in the southeastern state. Federal government wants TikTok to suspend accounts of Nigerians promoting fake news and rituals. The National Association of Nigerian Students gives the federal government and ASU 2 weeks to end the strike. The power crisis is like war, and that's according to the federal government. The PDP opens presidential race, fixes 40 million naira fee for forms.
All right, some international papers now. Let's deal with the Metro first. I think almost all the international papers has the story on their front pages. Nazanin jets home. That's the Nazanin Ratcliffe. Iran frees British charity worker. After 6 years, that must have been harrowing with a husband going on hunger strike to get her out of Iran. At last, some good news. I mean, that's about Nazanin. Right to the next paper.
Well, let's go to the press preview for lack of time and bring in Emmanuel Bello, who joins us from our offsite studio this morning. Emmanuel, good morning. Thanks for joining us. Let's begin with this day newspaper and what most of all the national dailies are talking about. President Buhari's letter directing a return to status quo in the APC, basically reinstating Mai Buni. Now, we heard last week from Governor El-Rufai of Kaduna State saying Buni is not coming back. They have the backing of the president and some governors. And there was a rinse and so they put in Bello to head the caretaker committee. And now President Buhari has written this letter, so this is in writing. We're seeing it. Hopefully there's no going back, as March 26th is next week. And he made a really good point, the president, saying this internal crisis in the APC may cost them so many litigations because they will be going against all INEC rules. Emmanuel.
Right, Nkechi, good morning. Yes, you know, in APC, they say the president is the leader of the party. So I think he's wearing that toga and that cap to also solve problems that, quite frankly, he started, if you ask me. Because, I mean, those sacking or those pronouncements that, got others saying that Buni is out, they attributed everything to him, that he was the one that gave the orders for his sack. And the grounds were also, they discussed, apart from, and people were really shocked because Buni has done a lot for the party. This is the man that someone was itemizing those he brought into the party. You would think that he's a later day kind of avatar for the party. He was always bringing great names to the party. So people were shocked when he was accused of all sorts of things, like, of course, him trying to derail the convention, his personal ambition coming in and all that. And so it's we all went through all that situation. But now the president, twice now today, because the first time through Garba, he said the same thing, that look, we need to deal with this situation. And I'm beginning to wonder if INEC has not stepped in to say, look, sorry, you can't change anybody, whether we'll be hearing this from the president. These are some of the things that people in government and in power do that is confusing. As at yesterday, the idea was to have a no winner, no vanquish kind of arrangement between the person who took over from Buni and then, of course, Buni himself. But the president's tone yesterday is dramatically changed again. And some papers are not charitable at all in the way they're reporting this. They're making it look as if Buni won and that others lost out, as if it was a contest of wills. But whatever it is, maybe that's what's happening, but whatever it is, the president is doing everything in his power as the leader of the party to ensure that, just like Bello himself said, that the most important thing, Niger State Governor Bello, what he said was that the most important thing right now is the convention, because if they do these conventions and they're done with it, they will have solved all the leadership tussles that they've been talking about. So the president is reminding the party that, look, let's get done with all these squabbles and let's go ahead. So he needed to do this, first through Garba with that press release, and then, of course, this strong-worded letter to Bagudu where he said, look, they should stop, that Buni should all start, they should go back to status quo ante, and that. So I don't think it's time to gloat or to say someone won and someone lost out, or to make some people feel really bad. Some of the headlines are not charitable at all this morning. But whatever it is, what is clear is that they have a convention ahead of them. Buni seems to be, has had those meetings. Those pictures are very telling with him and the president. You will say that maybe he had the last laugh on this matter, or he had the last word, or he's won. But whatever it is, I think the greater good of the party, the issue of their convention, and of course that INEC pushback actually probably helped in supporting that Buni returns, and then, of course, now to take over. And it's a good thing too that Buni is saying that, look, I have no grudge against anyone, because even he must do what the governor of Niger State say, which is to look at the convention as the bigger or the greater good for the party, so that you can just have a convention and get over with it.
Well, Emmanuel, Buni might have no grudge, but we need to find out from those 19 governors that the governor in Kaduna State claim gave backing to put him to the side. And the convention, the zoning of the party chairmanship by the APC could be in jeopardy. The governor of the north, the former governor rather, of the northwestern Zamfara state, and that's Abdulaziz Yari, has picked up a chairmanship form. What's going to happen next?
Well, probably Yari doesn't know, has found a good use for his 20 million, and which is to buy a form. So he bought one, and then and said he's in the race, and so many other people too. Even though there was an agreement that the chairman should come from the North Central Zone. But even there, Adamu, who looks like the preferred candidate, is not actually having it easy, as the former governor, Al-Bakura, is still also in the race and going about talking about the fact that this is an open contest. Some stakeholders in the party also favoring that people should be allowed to contest. And I think Yari is actually working on that. So That's the way of politicians. They don't ever give up. So they try their luck. You know, someone say politics is the ultimate gamble, the ultimate casino. So this is them doing their best to see what they can do and, going even against that. But then on the 26th, we're going to see what will happen and whether they are going to go for consensus or elections. And but I'm sure at the end of the day, the party will come out from that convention with its leadership.
Well, the caretaker spokesperson Ismail Ahmed, who happens to be the youth leader, says Yari has done nothing wrong. The zoning thing is just a guide for the party. Zoning is not the party's constitution. He said that yesterday in a press briefing. But we're watching as events play out. Well, PDP NEC fails to okay zoning. PDP, are they shooting themselves in the leg? What do you think?
I think they are also assailed by the same kind of crisis that we are seeing everywhere, the crisis of leadership. And now with that 37-man power committee, they are trying to deal with the crisis. We reported yesterday that Atiku made a strong case for zoning and said, look, allow the North to go at it again. Not just the North, allow he as a person, as Atiku, to go for it. And, they couldn't even hold those meetings because, of course, there was a shouting match with agitators for power shift to the South, raising their voices and saying, look, power must shift. So I don't know whether this is postponing the evil day, but they are going to critically look into it. They've not actually come up with, they have a committee now that is going to look at it and come up with a recommendation. I think they're also trying to find their way around the contentious issues that Atiku raised yesterday so boldly that, look, if you move this power anywhere, PDP is bound to lose. So we're seeing a situation where both sides, Buhari is saying that, look, if APC is not careful, they could lose elections. And PDP is saying, look, if we're not very careful, we will remain in opposition for 8 years. So they are just caught in the crisis of a tussle for leadership that we're seeing across many of these parties now.
The Minister of Power, Abubakar Aliyu, likened the worsening power situation to a war situation that is very dire. And these days reporting the power outage, fuel scarcity. President is apologizing to Nigerians. The minister is saying the federal government is doing everything possible to reinstate the country back to status quo. And it seems like this is just a repetitive promise that we always hear. When the people in power are promising their citizens things that are going to happen, isn't it better to give us statistics, to give us data, to give us evidence of what is being done instead of just, oh, we promise you we're doing all in our power? What is all in their power? What does that actually mean?
Exactly, Nkechi, and well, it's good to have a presidential apology. I don't know how that makes me feel any better this morning. I'm certainly not feeling any better. I slept with generator sound in my ears, and so I don't know how this pardon, waking up this morning to hear that the president is, is offering an apology, how that makes anybody feel any good. Because you don't run a country through apologies, you run a country through policies, through clear-cut plans. And like you're saying, Kechi, we need data. We need a clear-cut understanding. The Minister of Power keep blaming all sort of things. The other day, he said it was the water level. Now he's saying that, look, it's the vandalism of the gas or some other kind of curious kind of assessment of the situation. But the Gencos are saying that, look, we've not been paid monies. And if you don't pay us these monies, you are going to be in darkness. So essentially, the federal government is actually owing NEPA bill. That's what it looks like. And so the Gencos saying that if we don't have these monies, you are going to be in darkness with all the other crises and all the other things that, has pushed us into this. So, but an apology might be just, might soothe the nerves just a little bit. But ultimately, the federal government will have to come out with policies, plans, data, clear-cut solution to a perennial problem, a shameful problem, an embarrassing, disgraceful problem. The problem of lack of light and this fuel scarcity that you're having in a country that shouldn't even have those problems at all. It's an insult on our psyche as a country that there's no light. You have countries, what you call small countries, having electricity around the bed and not having this issue. It's a disgrace. It's an embarrassment. It's something that is making a lot of Nigerians wonder whether there's any serious governance. So an apology is okay, but proper planning and clear-cut data like you put it, and in fact, even a timeline to how they plan to achieve whatever they're achieving is what will make Nigerians happier beyond an apology.
To Benin Republic and some other African nations, and yeah, we can have power. Just like you said, it's an embarrassing situation.
We apologize for the sound of the generations in your ear, Emmanuel Bell.
Are you
If that makes you feel better. Thank you for the
I think I think we're all affected by this. We're all affected by this.
I'm not apologizing to you, man. I mean, I'm not PHCN. I don't agree with that.
Thank you, Emmanuel.